Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more Oxygen Not Included. We're on cycle 141, closing in quickly on that cycle 150. And between episodes, I've gone ahead and set up a little template over here for our duplicants to set up yet another waterlock with another set of exosuit docks and an exosuit checkpoint, so that we can finally start to dig down once again and try and get to the oil right at the bottom of the world and potentially look at making some petroleum and maybe even some plastic later on in today's episode. And so real quick, I am going to go ahead and bump the priority of this up to 8, just so that our duplicants will focus on that before they start focusing on some other stuff. And speaking of our duplicants focusing on other things, you may have just seen our friend Stinky here deliver some algae to our oxygen diffuser, the same thing that Bubbles is doing right now. And we can actually automate this with machines, as I learned between episodes. So I'm going to go ahead and set these to priority 1. At no point whatsoever do I want duplicants to come into this room and manually place algae into the oxygen diffusers. Instead, what I would like is to have our machines do it for us. In this case, I want an auto sweeper placed right about here, which should, in theory, be able to automatically pick up all of the algae from our conveyor receptacle and place it into the diffusers, essentially getting rid of one extra job for our duplicants to do. The same is true for our coal generators down here, and I guess the same could also be true for something like our auto feeders, the critter feeders here, if we could get all of our igneous rock in one place as well. But we'll start small for now. We'll start by trying to get the coal generators and the diffusers online and automatically being generated. To do that, we are going to need a much more copper ore, and to get that, we are going to need much more copper in general. So let's go ahead and schedule a couple of digs around here. It might not even be a terrible idea to dig out this whole area up here and just have the ladder go a little bit further up, so that hopefully our duplicates can get all of that. They might not be able to quite reach that top level, but if we do something like this and then make the top 2 levels here a little bit of a higher priority, they'll hopefully do those first and then work their way down, getting the rest of that copper as they go. So we'll speed things up here just a little bit. And one of the first things that I did want to look at and tweak a little bit in today's episode is our priorities. Specifically, I wanted to tweak Hassan's priority, because right now his priority is solely on farming and everything else is kind of secondary. And I think our critter population is taking a hit because of it. You'll notice that quite a lot of our creatures, especially all of our hatches here, are glum, and I have a feeling that these guys might be as well. They're not. The Drecos seem to be doing just fine, although they have been in here a shorter amount of time, but it seems like he's not taking enough care of the hatches. And if we pause real quick and look at the stone hatch here, if they are glum, their metabolism is -80, meaning they process much less food and therefore produce much less coal, which of course is not good, especially as we add more and more machines to our system and we start using more and more coal. And so real quick, I do want to change his priorities here so that ranching is at the top. I want to make farming a priority, but not his top priority. And then I also want to bump up the priority of farming for Bubbles, and also I think for Stinky as well, and maybe even Frankie, because I do want the farming to be done. I want people to go and get the bristle blossoms and get the pincher peppers so that we can hopefully make our stuffed berries. But I do also want our critters to be taken care of, because power is, of course, a vital part of our base's survival. And so we are kind of relying on our hatches here to continually stay happy, stay full, stay eating, and producing that coal for us in the long run here. So we'll see how they do on that. Do we have what it takes to make a auto sweeper yet? We do not. We need 200 kilograms of metal. So let's go ahead and schedule quite a bit of copper ore here. I have a feeling we might not have enough metal ore to make these docks either, and so getting more of that is going to be useful all around. I will set that to our priority 8, just to make sure that our duplicants can actually get around to doing that today. And then on top of that, I also think we can probably schedule the deletion of pretty much all of these farm tiles now. We don't really need any of the ones that were once holding mealwood here. And on top of that, people did also mention that we should probably go and put down a couple more floors between our pre-existing floors here, just to make it a little easier for our duplicants to get from one side of the base to another. For example, if someone is farming over on the left-hand side here, farming our bristle blossom, and they wanted to get over to the pincher pepper, right now they'd have to come out, they'd have to go all the way down, run across, and then run all the way back up. It's not a super long journey by any stretch of the imagination, but in the interest of efficiency, I feel like we should have these floors in between just to make life a little easier. And on top of that, we can also add more space for things like statues, things like paintings, maybe some flower pots, stuff like that, just to improve the overall decor of the base. And speaking of the base, I did just see a man run straight through the bathroom there and out the other side. We did get rid of the door here in the last episode, but the reason we did that was so that we could actually block that off and have our duplicants always walk past the sink whenever they go into the bathroom. And so we really do need to get this back up and running so our duplicants stop taking food poisoning out of the bathroom and to the rest of the base. What else did I want to do here? Let's check on our temperature real quick. We did in the last episode set up a new oxygen cooling system, which seems to be doing pretty well. We're down to like 25, 26, 24 degrees Celsius around this area, and I'm hoping that will kind of spread out and cool down, or at least mitigate the temperature increase of the rest of the base as we continue on here. And if we really wanted to be even more efficient, I guess we could also look at having a fire pole that goes from the top of this side all the way down as well. That is going to use quite a bit of copper, but it is going to allow duplicants to descend faster on this side. Like Stinky right there did have to go down using the ladder to get to this area. So I think having a second fire pole is probably going to be worth it, although we do desperately need even more copper over here. So I will bump the priority of this ladder up real quick so they can hopefully get over there and get that done. This over here is going to take quite a while, I think, simply due to the fact that there's quite a bit of abyssalite here. And you'll notice that whenever they come over and start to actually try and mine the abyssalite, it does take them quite a while to get that done. Even those duplicants who have improved mining, you know, mining level 3, the top tier of mining they can get, it still does take them quite a while to get through the abyssalite, which I believe is the strongest material in the game, at least the strongest material we've seen thus far. And so, do we now have what it takes to make the sweeper? We do. So let's go ahead and throw this guy down right about here. It does, of course, need power, as most machines do. Power, of course, does require metal ore, which we are slowly but surely getting over in the top left there. So I'm hoping that any second now we'll have enough to actually make some wire. There we go. All right, so we just need to hook this guy up like so. And then essentially at that point, we can have this guy pull automatically from the receptacle and over into the diffuser. And whilst we're at it, like I mentioned before, we should probably go ahead and throw one down in here if we can fit it in. And we can indeed look at that. And it also covers all 3 of them. However, we probably want to put it here simply due to the fact that if we get rid of the ice machine, we can then put our receptacle right there on the edge, thus making it within reach of the sweeper, and thus allowing the sweeper to pick up things from the receptacle and place it directly into those coal generators. And we can even take this one step further. If we can get 1 extra sweeper, we could put a few of them, maybe 2, into this room here with our critters to automatically pick up the coal and send it down to the receptacle that's going to be over here, at which point we take away all of the duplicant walking entirely. No longer do our duplicants have to get the coal, no longer do they have to deliver the coal to the storage bin, and no longer do they have to take the coal out of the storage bin and place it into our coal generators, which is going to be fantastic. And as we go forward, we can do more and more of this. We could collect all of the phosphorite that our Drecos produce and have that sent down to our fertilizer synthesizers down there. There's all kinds of stuff that we can automate going forward if we wish. These guys have managed to get themselves trapped, and so hopefully if we get some priority 9 ladders, I might even actually try out the new top priority. Boom. These ladders are a top priority. Everybody's going to stop what they're doing, and they're going to come and get these ladders taken care of. I think they will even not go to bed, even though I think it is like downtime right now, because these guys are asleep. Oh my goodness. That's not too bad. It's in a place where it's not going to affect anything. There was a bit of water here, but that was always going to be bad. Okay, could you guys get out of here? Okay, they're going to be fine. That's okay. They did make a mess, and stress has gone up just a little bit. And May has even got a sore back now due to the fact that she spent all night sleeping on the floor. And I think her stress is going to go up because I think she did just miss quite a bit of sleep there running back to bed after that quick nap. But let's get a slightly higher priority on these guys and also on this guy as well, and also a higher priority delete on the ice machine there. I don't really know if we're going to need the ice machine anytime soon. I was looking, and we do have access to ice sculptures right here. We can make a block of ice and then sculpt it into something, you know, that looks a little bit nicer than just a block of ice. But after looking at the wiki, it looks like you have to have them at very, very cold temperatures in order to keep them around. You know, if you try to build one in the middle of a base, even at a cool temperature like 17 degrees, it's going to start to melt very, very quickly, as ice does, of course, right? As soon as it gets above 0 degrees, ice starts to turn back into water. Everyone knows this. So shipping-wise, let's get our receptacle right about here. And you know what? Sure, let's see if we've got what it takes. Oh, we don't have what it takes. I was going to say sure. Let's go ahead and put the sweepers in for the coal over here. Alas, that is not the case. We do also need to set this guy up with power, which is a little harder than it looks in a room like this, because all of the some of the wires are heavy watt wires. If you try and connect a heavy watt wire to a normal wire, I think it just instantly like overloads it and causes it to break, which is of course not what we are after. We can also go ahead and start delivering suits to these docks as well. And because of the fact that we've got oxygen so close by, we should be able to just go ahead and kind of tap into this uncooled oxygen, because there's no need for the oxygen here to be anything above, you know, ambient temperature. And just pump that into there, which is quite nice. I'm also thinking of potentially getting rid of this setup over here that we've got, because right now we're only providing oxygen to the 1 Atmos suit. And I guess in theory, what we could do is just have some of that cold oxygen divert over and get pumped into here. It really doesn't need all that much oxygen going forward. Okay, so a little while later, we're now on cycle 151, and we finally managed to dig through all of the abyssalite and start building a ladder that goes down through into the ice biome, and we'll continue on down until we find some oil. I'm not quite sure how far we're going to have to go. You can see over here on the left that this far down didn't get us to oil, and so we do have at least a little bit further to go with this ladder on the right. But all of these are set to priority 9. I want my duplicants building those ladders when they possibly can. And so whilst they do that, I can walk through some of the stuff that I did between the beginning of this episode and now. So we did start to run out of coal a little bit, and I think we are still slowly but surely losing coal. The amount of coal being generated by these 4 or maybe 5 hatches here, 4 hatches, is not enough to keep our base going at this point. And so I did go down here and I did start digging out a little bit of coal around here. And in doing so, what I did is I opened up this little pocket of air right here. And originally what we did is we put 2 airflow tiles here, and we had this as kind of a pocket for carbon dioxide. Foolishly, when I dug out the coal here, some of the carbon dioxide fell down and through to the bottom, and the chlorine that was sitting here rose up and has now infiltrated this bottom section of our base. It's not terrible. Our duplicants don't spend that much time down here, or at least they shouldn't spend that much time down here, and so it's not too big of a deal. I will, however, at some point in the future try and get rid of this. If we just put down a gas pump and then filter out the chlorine, we should be able to pump it back down into this lower area here and turn this back into an area of mostly just carbon dioxide. But other than that, I also went ahead and did 2 more pieces of research. These 2 right here, the research for fossil fuels, which gets us the natural gas generator, the oil refinery, which we need to turn oil into petroleum, and the petroleum generator, which we can use to turn petroleum into power. And then on top of that, I also did plastic manufacturing, which unlocks us the oil well, but more importantly, for our purposes today, it unlocks us the polymer press, which we can use to turn the petroleum generated by our oil refinery into raw plastic that we can then use for a whole host of things around the base. We can make plastic ladders that allow our duplicates to move faster. We can make plastic tiles, which, you guessed it, allow our duplicates to move faster. We can make the comfy beds to make them just that little bit happier when they are in their bedroom and sleeping at night. And so a bunch of stuff that we can do with the plastic. But to get that plastic, we need oil. We need to turn that oil into petroleum with the oil refinery, and then we need to use the refined petroleum in the polymer press to actually make the plastic. And so a couple of things here. First things first is that the oil refinery, which is under refinement, does require 480 watts of power, which is quite a lot, but it's not quite as bad when we notice that the oil refinery also produces 90 grams per second of natural gas. And then if we go over and look at the newly unlocked natural gas generator, you'll see that this guy consumes 90 grams per second of natural gas and produces 800 watts of power. It does also pump out 10,000 DTUs of heat per second, which is crazy high. The coal generator produces 9,000, and even more crazy than that is the polymer press, which is over under refinement here as well. This thing produces a whopping 32.5 thousand DTUs per second. And so the polymer press is definitely going to have to go somewhere far away from the base and somewhere where the heat is not going to affect our duplicants too much. I also think we are going to run into issues with the polymer press overheating, because it does overheat at 75 degrees Celsius. And so we might have to come up with some kind of coolant system in the future. For now, though, I think I'm going to put my refinery, my natural gas generator, and my polymer press right about here. So what we'll do is we'll get some insulated tile, because again, I don't want the heat escaping too much. I might end up changing these simply due to the fact that if the room does get too hot, then our duplicates aren't going to be able to go in, and the polymer press is just going to overheat very quickly. But for now, we'll make this out of... Actually, what temperature is it down here already? It's already 42 degrees Celsius. I think this is probably far enough away from the base to where we can just use normal tile for the time being. And so let's see here real quick. How big is the oil refinery? The oil refinery is quite big, and the most important part about this is the fact that it does require a duplicant running it at all times. So we can't just set it, forget it, and let it burn away in like a boiling hot room. It does have to be a room that our duplicants can survive in, which is also one of the reasons why I want to have it after the exosuit dock here, so that any duplicant who does try and actually use the oil refinery is not just going to burn to death. So I think we'll build it probably right about here with like a wall and the door in the front there, and then we'll have a very similar setup to what we've got over here, where we have airflow tiles, and then beneath that we have gas pumps, so we can automatically harvest all of the natural gas that is produced and send it over to a natural gas generator, which we'll put probably right next to it, so probably right about here, and then between the two of those we can have our polymer press. So I think in total we're going to have something that looks like this: a door here, a floor here. I'm not going to build that back wall in just yet because I'm not quite sure where the back wall needs to go. We obviously can't go too far back because we don't want to break in to the nature reserve there. If push comes to shove, we could move the natural gas generator down below the polymer press and the oil refinery, but for now we'll go ahead and we'll schedule some digs over here. We'll make those a slightly higher priority, of course, so that our duplicants will actually come and dig this out. But really our main priority right now is to get this ladder going, because we actually have to find the oil before we can start pumping it up and using it in our base here. And so whilst we wait for that to get done, over here I think I'm going to go ahead and build another little hatch farm, because as I mentioned previously, the hatches right now are not doing it. So we're going to copy this guy, and we're basically going to replicate this room that we have over here. The doors are already nice and high, so our hatches aren't going to be able to escape. I will throw a ladder down over here so that any duplicant needing to go over to this area can still get there through this pneumatic door. And then we can simply move the pre-existing critter feeder over to here, because I'm thinking of having all of my stone hatches in this one, and then having all of my non-stone hatches over in this one. So I will also go ahead and wrangle these two guys. And whilst we're at it, I'm fairly certain I saw some stone hatches up here. Yes, we've got two stone hatches hanging out in the research area. Right now, they're wild and they're happy. They're not eating much and they're not producing much coal for us. If we can go ahead and tame them and get them nice and happy down in this room, their metabolism is going to increase and they're going to produce us just so much more coal. So I'll set that to a priority 9 wrangle, and I'll do the same for this guy as well. Speaking of wrangling, I'm fairly certain that I saw one of our duplicants here was ready to upgrade and could upgrade to the wrangling skill. Yes, so Bubbles, you're going to be doing critter wrangling as well. Hassan, I don't even know what to do with Hassan right now. He's already kind of got a full-time job with the farming and with the critter ranching. I guess we could give him super hard digging. Sure, why not? It gives him a morale boost. He's going to like it. And then, Frankie, what are we going to do with you? You've maxed out on super hard digging and on improved construction 3. I guess we could also give you crop tending and or critter ranching. Although right now, Frankie's pretty much just spending all of his time cooking food, and so I don't really think that's necessary. I think improved carrying could actually help him quite a bit, because a few times I have seen Frankie, whilst cooking, run up to grab some of the bristle blossom and some of the pincher pepper. This is another one of those situations where once we get enough power, we could do with a few more auto sweepers in here and in here to move all of those bristle blossom and all of the pincher peppers down to the fridge automatically, so that Frankie doesn't have to run backwards and forwards to get it. But we are a little tight on power right now, and so I'm not too interested in adding in a bunch of extra sweepers, at least not just yet. And so back over here, this is down. The critter feeder is ready to go. We do need a drop-off point, of course, and so food, drop-off point, we'll put it right about there. We do want to unspecify the regular hatches from this one. We only want stone hatches and stone hatchlings in this area, and then once these ones over here are built, which I'll set to priority 7, I would like it done fairly soon, but not a higher priority than our ladder down here. We are also apparently coming across a new little room here as well, which is interesting. I will of course set all of these new ladder builds to priority 9 so that hopefully they get done fairly soon. Duplicant wise, I'm going to go ahead and I guess, take the lava egg for now. I do want more duplicants because it's obvious right now that we don't have enough duplicants to expand our base quickly whilst also taking care of all of the core tasks that need to be done in the base. But the problem we're going to have right now, and actually I guess it's not a problem now that I think about it. I was going to say the problem that we have is food. We would have to add more bristle blossom and more pincher pepper plants if we wanted to add more duplicants. But it did just occur to me that we could always go ahead and feed our new duplicants meal lice for the first, 150 cycles that they're in the base. There's no need to feed them the top tier food right away until they get to that high skill level. Even now, I guess, we have duplicants like Bubbles and like Nicola here at the bottom who really don't have that high of a morale need, but you can see like Nicola, he has 35 morale and only needs 9, and 12 of that morale comes from having a great meal. And so we could definitely start to try and offload some of this 73,000 kilocalories worth of meal lice that we've got into some of our newer duplicants. And you know what? Sure, I'm going to go ahead and for now say that you two can eat meal lice and that you cannot have the stuffed berries. The stuffed berries are only for the duplicants who have been here for 153 cycles. They've been working hard. They've been getting the work done. You guys, you can wait, okay? So you can see we are down at 4,500 kilograms of coal here. We were at about 7,000 when we came back, so we've lost almost half of it in 2 cycles here, which is not great. Not great at all. I would like, to go ahead and specify that hatches and hatchlings should go here, because I can see these guys have been wrangled. This guy is elderly. We should probably also go ahead and wrangle a couple of the stray hatches as well, just so that we've got a fairly decent hatch population in this area here. I'm also hoping that Hassan is going to have enough time in a day to tend to all 3 lots of critters, like to tend to the Drecos, to tend to the hatches, and the stone hatches. I think he maybe should, but I guess only time will tell. So we want these guys eating sandstone. I guess ideally we want them eating sedimentary rock so we can turn them into stone hatchlings faster. But for now we don't have any sedimentary rock, so we're going to go ahead and feed both of them sandstone, like that, and not like that. That's feeding them everything. I would like to feed you just sandstone. Okay, that's fine. That's also hopefully going to help with the cramped debuff. So we do also have these eggs as well. So once the eggs are in here, they do affect the crampedness of the area. So I would like to move this. Again, I don't want to sweep it, because if we sweep it, it's going to get put into storage and it's going to get destroyed. It's going to get turned into food, which is not what I want. And so I think I will put down like 2 more incubators down here. We are going to need more metal for that, but that's fine. We can go ahead and request some more metal. But if we can get some more incubators down, that means that we can move those eggs out of the hatch farm and hopefully get these guys back up and eating at peak performance again, for lack of a better term there. So we've got 3 guys in here. That's fine for the time being. If I see any more hatches around the base, I'll go ahead and move them in there. I think 4 or 5 is maybe the sweet spot for that size of room. You can see we've got 6 in here right now, and they're kind of cramped, which is not ideal. Again, we will continue further down over here. Did they clear out this area up here? They did not. They've got so much work to do right now that they are not managing to get any of this stuff done. Like, I'm putting things down like over here and down here, like they're ever going to be able to get it done, but they just have so much stuff to do. I'm surprised that more people aren't down digging right now. And also, I do think that we should probably have a fire pole that goes down here, because I think right now it does take them a little bit too much time to get down to this lower area, and I think a fire pole would definitely help with that. Once we get plastic, we could potentially replace it with transit tubes, and I have a sad feeling that this Dreco is not going to make it. He has moved down into an area that is negative 21 degrees Celsius. He says he's idle and happy though, so maybe he'll be fine. Let's bump up the priority of this. Let's make the priority of this, and this a little higher. I guess the Drecos not so much, although I do want our Drecos to keep producing reed fiber for us. I think it's a little bit more important that we focus on the coal for now. We can dig this up. There's so much stuff around the base as well, like stuff that needs sweeping. I did expand our second storage room out here, so we now have many more storage bins for our duplicates to place things in. We'll also throw one down there. And whilst we're at it, we might as well go ahead and replicate this setup and put down a few more blank canvases like here, 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 and here. And eventually, I would like to also have blank canvases like here and here. I feel like that's a little bit optimistic. I think there are a lot of things that our duplicates are doing right now that's kind of distracting them from being able to get this stuff done. Although, they did just deliver reed fiber there, and so maybe not. Let's copy that and paste it there. I also feel like our recreation room could be a little bit better. Right now, it's only got like a jukebox that doesn't work and a water cooler. And speaking of that, actually, we're also still only at a mess hall here. We could increase morale a fair bit by improving this again to a to Great Hall status. And also, whilst you're at it, could you wrangle this guy? This guy is a previously tamed hatchling who's managed to escape. And right away, though, we've actually managed to get a stone hatchling egg from there as well, which is kind of crazy. Do we have what it takes to make another incubator? We do. So I'll throw another one of those down. Not there. I would like it to be right next to the pre-existing one, like so. Again, priority 9, sure, why not? We'll try and get these eggs out of there. Coal is kind of a dire situation right now, so getting these hatches back up to peak performance is definitely high on my list of things to do. Bert here does have another skill available to him, and I think we might go with super hard digging here for Bert, simply due to the fact that the Abyssalite took so long to dig. And the reason, by the way, that the Abyssalite took us, what, 6 cycles to dig out, is because the only person who was qualified at the start of today's episode to dig out the Abyssalite was Frankie, and Frankie was spending all of his days working on food. I did also spend some time and make this tank here a little bit bigger whilst I was waiting for them to dig out the Abyssalite. So now we've got this pump offline right now because it did leak a little bit. We had a bit of a mess where water spilled out all the way down here because this tank overflowed, at which point I dug the tank out, made it a bit bigger, and promptly turned off this pump here so that it didn't overflow again. But we do have more space now, so we probably can go ahead and re-enable this building to hopefully once and for all get rid of all of the excess polluted water there. How are we doing on the ladder front? We're doing a little bit better, slowly but surely getting down here. Again, continuing with the priority 9s, I will dig yet further down. I guess we'll also schedule some priority 9 digs to the side of this, although I guess we can just go straight in with a fire pole, right? We don't have much copper ore. Each one of these requires 100 copper ore, and we've only got 400. So I guess for now we'll hold off on the fire pole there. And it is a little bizarre that priority 8 is not high enough to get this room built. And I did just notice that I'm a fool. The reason they're not doing this, Isaac, is because they can't get there. This is all unreachable, you fool. So let's get a priority 9 dig on this here. And let's also put a tile down right about there, just so our duplicates can actually get to this area and start digging it all out. I did think it was a little suspicious when someone like me started actually painting these masterpieces before doing any of this down here. All right, finally, we have found crude oil. It is now cycle 161. It has been many cycles since we left off. I have built the world's longest fire pole going down from our waterlock here all the way down, almost to the crude oil itself to allow our duplicates to descend much faster. But we now have it. There's not much here, but it's enough to get us started with and enough to make a little bit of plastic with. And so I'm going to go ahead and place down I'll instruct our duplicates to place down when they finally get here, a liquid pump. Now, we do need to be quite careful with this. The oil is currently at 80.3 degrees Celsius, and if we look at the liquid pump, you will see that it overheats at 75 degrees Celsius. However, if we build it out of gold, its overheat temperature gets plus 50, so it will then go up to 125 degrees Celsius, and so hopefully should be able to withstand the temperature of this oil. That's the idea, at least. From there, we're going to go ahead and use a liquid pipe to go ahead and pull this up from here all the way up, the world's longest ladder that we've got going on here. And I guess we can go across at this point and continue on up like so. And then up here, we have our gas setup. We got a gas pump, we got a gas filter. Over here is where everything that is not natural gas is going to go. And then up at the top here is where we're going to have our oil refinery, like so. We're going to have our polymer press, like so, and we're going to have our natural gas generator, like so. Of course, those do need to be hooked up to power. Boom, boom, and boom. And of course, the natural gas does actually have to be pumped into the natural gas generator for it to work. And I believe the natural gas generator produces polluted water. Yes, that's what the output pipe is here. So we do have to go ahead and have that come out. Over here, we have oil going in. So we want our oil to go in like so. And then out of that is going to be petroleum, which for now we will pump into our polymer press like that. And then over here, is this also outputting a gas of some description? Oh, it is. So does the polluted water just come out onto the floor? I guess it must do, right? That's going to be a pain. We're going to have to mop that up continuously, but that's fine. We can deal with that as the time comes. What gas does this output? Oh, it outputs carbon dioxide? Okay, in that case, then we'll go ahead and we'll have a gas pipe, and I should stop hitting pause. It's forced a habit now to hit pause every couple of minutes. But I guess we should have the carbon dioxide kind of just go round and out over here with this gas vent. We don't really need that carbon dioxide for anything, so for now, just getting rid of it should be fine. We will, of course, set all that stuff. Yeah, it's all set to priority 9, which is maybe too high, but that's fine. They'll get it done, hopefully sooner rather than later. And it has been a real long episode now, guys. It's taken me so many cycles to get to this point. And we do have new skills available. Let's go ahead and select those. Stinky is available for yet another skill. And I kind of think that just improved digging is going to be one that we can go with here. I kind of want everyone to be better at digging now than they currently are. May can go ahead and get crop tending. Mima, what do you want to do? Let's go ahead and give her bedside manner. Currently, we don't have anybody with that. And now that we've got our new medicine bay, it seems good to have somebody who can do that. And then Bubbles can go ahead and do, I guess, advanced research, maybe medicine. None of those are super useful. You know what? We'll go with improved construction. I was thinking the other two because they improve morale, but we really do need improved construction. And I think I'm going to hold off again on a duplicate just because we don't have the bed space. And right now I really want to focus in on getting this oil taken care of. I think they are not that far away from getting this done. I did make a couple of tweaks to the priority screen here so that everybody does prioritize digging and building just a little bit. It's nobody's top priority, but I want people prioritizing it over, you know, things like tidying. Like before now, Stenke had an equal priority for tidying as he did for building. And so if he wasn't researching, you know, he wasn't necessarily going to be going and digging stuff up and building these pipes for us. He would maybe just be going and picking stuff up and sticking it into storage, which is a good task. It's something that we do want people doing, but not at this moment in time. So skill-wise, again, we've got yet more skills to distribute here. Nicola, we'll go ahead and give super hard digging to make his digging just that much faster, and also to give him that little boost to morale as well. And this pipe could well take quite a bit of time here. We also did start to run out of algae a little bit. I've had to re-engage the priority on our oxygen diffusers here because our algae distillers are currently out of slime. And whilst we do have 0 slime, oh my goodness, I thought we had slime. We are completely out of slime. We actually need to go and dig out more slime. Thankfully, there is just so much of it around the map, and so getting more slime shouldn't be too difficult, although I guess it might not be a bad idea to look into other sources of oxygen, like potentially using, is there an electrolytic separator, I believe, or maybe it's called an electrolyzer that allows us to separate water into oxygen and hydrogen. We might have to start looking into that. Again, there is a lot of water in the base. This entire ice biome is mostly just potential water. You'll notice as we've moved through here, we have started to melt quite a bit of it, and you'll notice we do have a nice little pocket of water forming at the bottom of our ladder here. And that probably is going to merge in with the oil. We're probably going to want to have some kind of liquid filter, actually, now that I think about it, so that we can have, you know, the oil come out of here and then get filtered out, and then have the water go somewhere else, just in case water does end up in here. So we'll throw that down as well. We'll rotate that, and then we'll have the oil, which is going to go here, go out and up, and then everything else, for now, can go, I guess, over into here. It's a little awkward. It does mean we have to dig out this area. I went this way and not this way because this way is covered by abyssalite, which is notoriously much more difficult to dig out. So we'll go that way, and then we'll have just like a little liquid vent right about there. Good stuff. Our calories have dropped, but I think this is deceiving. I think it's mostly because we're now eating through the meal lice that previously was just sitting there going stale. Now the 2 newest duplicates are currently eating through that excess meal lice that we have. And we're slowly but surely gaining a stockpile of stuffed berries, which is good. Coal is still on the decline. We're down at 2,000 kilograms. We're kind of slowing down the decline a little bit, but it is still on decline. We have dug out a little bit around as we've been digging down here, but power is definitely something that we need to work on. And that's true for quite a lot of resources now. We're kind of getting to that point where a lot of our resources are being squeezed. We've had quite a lot of cycles of relative safety and relative, you know, comfort around the base, but now we're starting to run out of algae. We should definitely go and actually, no, I was gonna say we should turn this off, but this is full and this is empty, so I think we can actually go ahead and delete this now. I'll leave it for now. We can delete that in the next episode, but we're running out of slime, we're running out of algae. which in turn is causing the base to be a little bit less than ideal in terms of the amount of oxygen here. The reason for that, by the way, is due to the fact that a lot of the oxygen is being pumped into our suits, which is fine because our guys are spending quite a bit of time down in the suits right now, so it kind of makes sense that that's where a lot of our oxygen is. But we're running out of that, we're running out of coal. We need to look into more long-term, more sustainable sources of power and also of water. And I think we found a fairly sustainable source of food, but you'll notice we have hit the temperature limit on our bristle blossoms. They have now hit over 30 degrees Celsius, and so it might not be a terrible idea to uproot one of these and throw in a cold plant that I've forgotten the name of, the Weezewort, which has also had its growth halted because it doesn't have fertilizer over there. We definitely need more duplicants, or at the very least more duplicants who are not doing anything. Like right now we have duplicants, we've got quite a lot of duplicants, but they're all busy trying to get this oil up and running, which is taking quite a bit of time. But we could definitely do with more duplicants to just take care of general base activity. Stress is still doing great. We're negative. We took away 213% of stress today, so that's fine. They're actually loving life. I did also change their schedule back, so now they've got only 3 tiles of downtime. So I did give them an extra tile of work time, just so that they could try and, you know, get more done during the day. Looking at this again, it looks like everything is okay. We'll go for the day before, actually. So you can see travel time still a big deal, 58%. Hopefully that's lower than previous days. I did see a 59% there. It's a little higher than previous days. I saw a 60%. That's to be expected. They're going quite far down. I was hoping that the fire pole would reduce travel time, and I think it has. I think had we not built the fire pole, the time it would take them to get down here would be just astronomical, right? We do also want to make sure we have a ladder there so they can get up and down still. There is more algae here that we can go ahead and dig out as well. I'm not too worried about that just yet. I think algae is okay. These guys are still online, so I think that's still fine. We could put down like another diffuser here, but I don't know if that would help. It might help because these are not full, but I don't know what the maximum amount of gas that the gas pump can move is at any given time. So like I don't know how many oxygen diffusers is too many, right? If we put down like 10 of these, there's going to come a point where the gas pump can no longer move that much oxygen. I don't think we're at that point yet because this room is perpetually... Oh no, this room's kind of full now that these have been turned back on. So yeah, I don't know. This looks like there's more than enough oxygen in here. It's just not able to move it fast enough. I guess we could put down like another pump here so that even more oxygen is going over to here. Like this area of the base is very breathable, but the area of the base that our duplicates spend their time in, less so, right? So that might be something that we should potentially look into. They're very, very close. They're so almost there. I think this might be the same Draco from earlier, who slowly worked his way down from this very cold biome down to what is now a very, very warm biome down here, 78, 79, 81 degrees Celsius. Don't ask me how this works, where you got negative 26 on one tile and then 80 on the other. That is bizarre. But a Weezewort is what I wanted to place up here. I don't know if I can plant them in these. I can, but I don't have one, is the problem. So I will go ahead and uproot one of those. I'm not going to make it a super high priority because I do still want them to get this oil before they work on anything else. And they're so close. And that does remind me, actually, now that I think about it, that we actually need to run wire all the way down here because that pump does, of course, need to actually work. So let's go ahead and see if we've got anywhere near enough copper ore to make this happen. It looks like we do. And looks like that might just work. It did run out towards the end there, so we might actually not have enough. All right, final time now. We're on cycle 167. They finally made it down here. This guy does need power, and he's going to get it just as soon as the grid connects. Are we missing just a piece here? We are. They got one thing they need to build there. That's fine. I would like to specify that you are going to output oil, if that is possible. Yeah, crude oil is what I would like you to filter. I'm hoping they can still get there. I think they can. We are running into a couple of issues around the base. Not gonna lie, I have put another vent here and offshooted some of the oxygen to hopefully try and cool this room down a bit, because I turned all the lights off, of course, but if the room doesn't get cold, then we suddenly don't have any food. So temporarily, I've put everybody back on meal lice because we were on the brink of starvation for a little bit there. As soon as they uproot that, I would like to replace that with a Weezewort, which we do now have. I am going to make that like a priority 9 because the food is definitely something we need to fix ASAP. Either getting this back online or putting down a lot more mealwood so our duplicates can actually continue to eat for a little while. We have got about 4 days worth of kilocalories left either way, so that should be fine. This is almost all but ready to go. They've got the output vent, that's good. They're going to put down the pump any minute now. The circuit is a little overloaded. I did put down another gas pump here, but I think that's taken it a bit too far, because now that whilst more oxygen is being pumped through, which is good, there's also a lot more overloading of the circuits. Like every so often the system just cuts out, and we're also of course tanking through yet more coal. As soon as we get the gas generator online, we can disconnect this little bit here, and then this should be self-sufficient. It should be able to run on its own for the most part. 800 might not be quite enough to run this, but then again, the polymer press isn't going to be running all the time, neither is the oil refinery, so hopefully that should be okay. There's no gas intake. Is gas not coming in here? Oh, of course, I've done this. It just needs connecting that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Apparently also the polymer press does have an output as well. I'm not quite sure what it outputs, but it outputs some form of gas, carbon dioxide, and thus that's also being pumped out with the carbon dioxide from the natural gas generator. They've got this online, which is good. We're missing just 2 little bits of wire here, and then power should be good to go, and we should finally have oil. It's taken us a long time, and it might have cost us the base, because things have kind of fallen apart whilst we've been focused on this. Let's get like a priority 9 Weezwort in over here as well, if we can, guys. That would be grand. You're so close. You can reach this, right? Insufficient gold. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's dig out a little bit of gold over here real quick. That's fine. That is going to leak out onto the floor, but that is a-okay. We've got the filtration system in place to pick all of that up. That is all fine. Hopefully somebody is on the Weezwort here. They are all fertilizing this, which seems a little unnecessary given their current state. Okay, the Weezwort is online. That should hopefully start. There we go, cooling down the area around it. We might even need a second one in there. That wouldn't be the end of the world if we did. We can get more out of the cold biomes that we've dug out over here. There are a few more of them ready to be collected. But this is finally online. Oil is finally being pumped. Oh my goodness, up to here. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to get up here, but once it does, this will hopefully kick into gear. I will set this to a priority 8 temporarily, and once this system gets going, it should, like I said, hopefully be self-sufficient. We do, of course, need a bit of power from the pre-existing network to get it going, but once it gets going, we should hopefully be onto something. We might want to have some kind of reservoir for natural gas, and yeah, thinking about it, we probably want to have a similar setup to what we have with the coal, where we have a smart battery that turns the generator off when power is not needed, and then a reservoir collecting natural gas so that it's always there ready to go, even when the generator is not online. But nevertheless, let's see here. If I set this to priority 9, will somebody come and please refine some crude oil into petroleum for me, so we can finally make just one piece of plastic. That's all I need. The bristle blossoms are back online, which is fantastic. I'm very happy about that. Hopefully any minute now somebody's going to come and work on our oil refinery. The polymer press is getting there. And again, hopefully the natural gas generator is going to start producing a bit of power. It looks like it is getting there. It is producing a bit of power and then sending a bit of power over to here. And you can see very, very slowly but surely. There we go. He turned like one notch on the oil refinery there. But very slowly but surely, this polymer press is excreting a very small amount of plastic. And any minute now, it's going to plop out onto the ground, and the entire episode's worth of efforts will have been worth it. There we go. Okay. So, I'm going to pause there. You'll see it did excrete that that polluted water onto the ground there. So, we do need a much more complex setup to have this automated. If we're going to actually want to get a large amount of plastic, we need to be able to cool the polymer press. We need to be able to automate the natural gas generator. We need to be able to get rid of the excess water, because if these get too full of water, they will stop working. We also need to fix some other problems around our base, but we now do have what it takes to potentially make plastic if we so wish. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there for today. As always, if you did enjoy the video and you want to see more in the future, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button. It will just help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new here to get notified as soon as new videos come out. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.